The United States Navy occupational rating of bosun's mate is a designation given by the Bureau of Naval Personnel to enlisted members who are rated or striking for the rating as a deck seaman. The colloquial form of address for a bosun's mate is boats. The rating of bosun's mate dates from the American Revolutionary War and is one of the oldest U.S.Navy rates still in continuous existence. Job description: bosun's mates train, direct, and supervise personnel in ship's maintenance duties in all activities relating to marline spike deck, boat seamanship, painting, upkeep of ship's external structure, rigging, deck equipment, and boats. Bosun's mates take charge of working parties, perform seamanship tasks, act as petty officer in charge of picket boats, self-propelled barges, tugs, and other yard and district craft. They serve in or take charge of damage control parties. BMs also operate and maintain equipment used in loading and unloading cargo, ammunition, fuel, and general stores. BMs take charge of and supervise UNREP procedures and equipment. They are integral to ship's navigation and serve as ship's helmsman and the ship's lee helmsman. In addition, they also serve as RHIB coxswains. Bosun's mates enjoy a normal path of advancement to Chief Warrant Officer and Limited Duty Officer. Candidates must have normal color perception and no speech impediment. Candidates need not meet any special citizenship or security requirements. Bosun's mates also stand watch on ship's bridges, passing information relating to routine and special activities to the crew with the distinctive bosun's call, a bosun's pipe. On the ancient rogue galleys, the bosun used his pipe to call the stroke. Later, because its shrill tune could be heard above most of the activity on board, it was used to signal various happenings such as pipe down, and the side or away galley. So essential was this signaling device to the well-being of the ship that it became a badge of office and honor in the British and American navies. Bosun's mates' duties cover a large spectrum and range widely depending on the capacity and mission of the vessel ashore installation to which BMs are assigned. They act as landing signalmen enlisted on air-capable ships. They act as a supervised lookouts of Navy ships, searching the sea for enemy vessels and hazards to navigation. They conduct search and rescue operations and can respond to other military and civilian ships that request assistance. Ashore, they provide armed security for either their assigned vessel or for their assigned naval installation. Bosun's mates are also a source rating for the Navy's mobile amphibious community. These duties include assault boat coxswain and craft master, navigating specialized assault or working vessels during amphibious operations, salvage work, or inshore work. They are also a recognized source rating for the U.S. Navy's Special Warfare and Special Operations communities. Should the bosun's mate meet eligibility requirements, he can elect to become an SB, an ND, or EOD. ND and EOD are currently the only special communities open to both men and women. Note: the bosun's mate is said to be one of the 4 oldest professions in the U.S. Navy, along with quartermasters, gunners, mates, and masters at arms. Ship's bosun. In the U.S. Navy, the ship's bosun is an officer who assists the first lieutenant by supervising the deck force in the execution of major seamanship functions and the maintenance of topside gear. The ship's bosun supervises cargo handling and inspects and maintains rigging and deck gear. His duties also include supervising anchoring, mooring, fueling, towing, transferring of personnel and cargo, and the operation and maintenance of ship's boats. The ship's bosun is in charge of what the Navy deems unusual seamanship operations such as retrieving target drones, and also schedules training for deck division personnel. Another key duty of the ship's boatswain is supervision of the maintenance of abandoned ship equipment and instruction in abandoned ship techniques. Background: the word boatswain has been around in one form or another longer than modern English has. It is derived from Late Old English Boatswain, from bat plus Old Norse ven, meaning a young man, a follower, retainer, or servant. Various phonetic spellings have also been in use through the centuries. Originally, on board sailing ships, the boatswain was in charge of a ship's anchors, cordage, colors, deck crew, and the ship's boats. The boatswain would also be in charge of the rigging while the ship was in dock. The boatswain's technical tasks have been modernized with the advent of steam engines and subsequent mechanization. Origins in the Royal Navy. The rank of boatswain was until recently the oldest active rank in Great Britain's Royal Navy, and its origins can be traced back to the year 1040. The Royal Navy's last official boatswain, Commander E.W. Andrew O.B.E., retired in 1990. In 1040, when 5 English ports began furnishing warships to King Edward the Confessor in exchange for certain privileges, they also furnished crews whose officers were the master, boatswain, carpenter and cook. Later these officers were warranted by the British Admiralty. They maintained and sailed the ships and were the standing officers of the Navy. Soldiers commanded by captains would be on board the ships to do the fighting, but they had nothing to do with sailing the ships. The word soldiering came about as a seaman's term of contempt for the soldiers and anyone else who avoided shipboard duties. The warranted officers were often the permanent members of the ship's companies. They stayed with the ships in port between voyages as caretakers, supervising repairs and refitting. Other crewmen and soldiers might change with each voyage. Early in the 14th century, the purser joined the warrant officers. He was originally the clerk of bursar. During the following centuries, the gunner, surgeon, chaplain, master-at-arms, schoolmaster and others signed on. In the Royal Navy, the task of disciplining the crew fell to the quartermasters and quartermasters' mates. This was done using a rattan boatswain's cane on the boys and a rope's end on adult sailors. Punishment could lawfully be inflicted on an officer's instruction or at his own will, or more formally on deck on the captain's or a court-martial's orders. Birching a use of the cat o' nine tails would have been typical in the latter case. In a large crew he could delegate this to the boatswain's mates, who might alternate after each dozen lashes. Notable boatswains. A number of boatswain's mates have achieved notable careers in the military. Carl Brashear, the first black American master diver, and whose life was the inspiration for the movie Men of Honor, retired as a Master Chief Boatswain's mate. Reuben James and William Wiley, famous for their heroism in the Barbary Wars, are namesakes of the ship Sus. Reuben James and Us Wiley were U.S.Navy boatswain's mates. Medal of Honor recipients Francis P. Hammerberg and George Robert Colister were U.S.Navy boatswain's mates, as was Navy Cross recipient Stephen DeBase. Us James E. Williams is an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, named for BM-1 James E. Williams, who was awarded the Medal of Honor while serving in the Brown Water Navy in Vietnam. In 1958, BMCM Sherman Bird became the first African-American explosive ordnance disposal technician.